The box landed in my lap with a thud. Silver wrapping paper, a red bow. "Go on," my sister smirked, eyes gleaming. I peeled it open, and there it was, a DNA test kit. Dad roared with laughter. "So you can finally accept you don't belong here." Mom leaned in, her whisper sharp as glass. "We always knew." My brother just smirked, satisfied, cruel. "Face it, you're not one of us." Their laughter filled the room like smoke. I didn't laugh. I didn't cry. I just reached under the table, slid a black box across the polished wood, and watched it stop in front of Dad. "Open it," I said. When he did, his hands shook, his face drained, his world collapsed. And I walked away. But let me start where this really began. I was 10 when I noticed it. The silence after I spoke. The looks exchanged between my parents when neighbors said, "She doesn't look much like you." I told myself it was in my head, that love was thicker than blood. But love in our house had rules. Rules that never bent in my favor. My sister's failures were excused. My brother's cruelty was rewarded. And me? Every achievement, every sacrifice, dismissed as if it didn't count. "You try too hard," Dad would say. "You're different," Mom would mutter. Different. That word. Their favorite knife. The truth revealed itself in fragments. A late-night argument behind their bedroom door. Mom's trembling voice. "What if she finds out?" Dad's growl. "She won't. We'll make sure." And then the letters. Hidden in the attic beneath old Christmas decorations. Faded envelopes, hospital seals. My birth certificate, not a match to the one they showed me growing up. I wasn't blind. I wasn't theirs. But the betrayal wasn't just that they lied. It was how they enjoyed it. How they made my difference the punchline of every gathering, the shadow cast over every holiday. So when my sister handed me that DNA kit, wrapped like a joke, I knew it was no accident. It was a stage, a performance, and I decided the performance would end with me. I didn't rage, I didn't confront, I prepared. I hired a private investigator, subtle, precise. He found cracks my family had buried under decades of lies. Bank transfers, secret payments, a name, one man's name that kept surfacing in old files and medical forms. Not mine, his, my father's. The man who had raised me wasn't who he claimed to be. Not my father, not anyone's father, legally speaking. He was living under a stolen identity, a family tree built on fraud. I gathered everything, documents, records, DNA reports that didn't just show I wasn't theirs, it showed he wasn't who he said he was either. Every piece lined up like a chessboard, and Christmas became my checkmate. When Dad opened that black box, he wasn't looking at jewelry or a gift. He was staring at his own unraveling. Inside was a thick folder, certified documents, his real name, his real origin, the proof of the man he buried decades ago. "You?" His voice cracked, the laugh gone. "Where did you? How did you?" Mom's hand flew to her mouth. My sister frowned, confused. My brother leaned closer, curiosity slipping into dread. I leaned back in my chair, calm, collected. "You wanted proof I don't belong?" I said. "Here's proof you don't." The silence was suffocating. Every page he turned drained another shade from his face. His stolen identity, his fraudulent past, all of it laid bare in black and white. The DNA kit they'd mocked me with now felt like a toy compared to the evidence I slid across the table. "You've been living a lie," I said, my voice even. "And now it's documented, recorded, ready to share." He looked up at me then, eyes wide, desperate, terrified. The same man who had spent years making me small suddenly looked like a child himself. "Please," he whispered, but I wasn't listening. Not anymore. I stood, gathered my coat, my bag. "You wanted to laugh at me," I said, steady. "But now it's your turn to choke on the truth." I walked out as my sister demanded answers, my brother cursed, and my mother sobbed into her hands. And Dad? No, the man pretending to be my dad sat frozen, clutching the black box that held the weight of his collapse. The fallout was quick. Investigators, lawyers, neighbors whispering when the news spread. His name dragged through mud, his reputation dismantled. I didn't need to lift a finger. I had already done my part. All it took was one Christmas, one gift, one black box. They wanted me to doubt who I was. Instead, I made them doubt who they were. And in the end, it wasn't me who didn't belong in that family. It was him. Because sometimes revenge isn't about shouting. It's about sliding a box across the table, watching their hands tremble, and walking away while their entire world collapses behind you. That was the gift I gave myself, and it was the sweetest Christmas of my life.